just sneak a peekaloo.
All right, it's a new day. Last time I was here, I did a whole bunch of sanding all around the truck. And then before I left that day, I added a little more filler to some spots. So today it's going to be round 2 of sanding for hours. So hopefully this goes a little better than last time and I can actually maybe primer seal something before I leave today. Definitely not going to be every spot, but hopefully a good majority of them. Oh, get to work. Well, today I did a whole bunch of sanding. Mostly focused on this bed side. I think that's just about good enough. The beauty of working on this piece of junk truck is I cheated a little bit and hit it with a piece of sandpaper in my hand on some spots instead of having to block sand the whole thing and make sure it was perfectly flat and straight. This whole bed's so beat that I wasn't worried about that. So, like I said, did a little bit of cheating. It's a little wavy, but looks a lot better than it did. As you can see by the short sleeves, it was a nice day today. I had the garage door open for most of the day. Covered in all sorts of dust. I looked a little pale.
Holy Jesus in heaven. It's a giant Q-tip.
But happy with the progress. Did a little bit on the other side. Man, time to go home. That looks like Earth. I got a whole bunch of sanding done on this unit. So I think the doors are good enough, fender's good enough, this side's good enough. I'm going to put some primer on it. Got a little bit more work to do to this side. So I'm getting anxious to see it with some primer on it though. So this, where I cut it, I don't know, I'm going to blend it out a little bit further, I think. Make it nice and smooth. You see down here, it's kind of a low spot and it's sanded fine here and sanded fine here, but I need to kind of fill that in. Same thing with underneath where I patched that. It would be too sharp of a break the way it is now, so I'm going to kind of add a little bit in here and sand a little radius onto it. But this door's fine, fender's fine, that's good enough. I got to add a little bit to the hood. Same thing, there's a low spot right here. And if you can see my pencil marks, kind of where I need to add a couple low spots. But that's good enough. Like I said, I want to actually squirt some primer on this thing and hopefully before I leave today, maybe even spray some red primer on it. Right now I'm just trying to seal in the bodywork. Hit it up with some of this ultra matte red. Looks kind of pink. The dilemma is, I thought about just painting the whole red portion of the truck with some like Tractor Supply tractor paint. But the issue is, I really don't want to redo the whole top part of the cab. It needs so much work in here. It's all rotted out. And I don't know. I think having the bottom nice and shiny and leaving that top all patina faded red, or even if I painted the top nice shiny new red, and then the hood sections where the primer, the red's bleeding through, I don't know. The hood matches the roof, so I think what I'm going to do is I misted some spray paint over the whole truck with that matte red. I'm going to probably scuff it and try to get back in as many spots as I can to that faded red color, and hopefully hide, you know, where I did all the body work. So that's the plan, at least. I think it'll work. Still got a lot of sanding to do over on this side, but I did hit the lower section of there, so I might miss some of that matte red on here. Probably going to need another can, but I got a few spots to touch up here, make that blend nice. But as you can see, I kind of misted the paint on, and I'm going to try to blend it a little bit better from the faded red down. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Either way, it's going to look cooler than it did with giant missing rotted sections and the whole side of the bed gone. I'll paint the top half of this door white at some point. Yeah, boy. All right, got some more sanding to do. Same poop, different scoop. Back at it. Okay, back in the shop today. Get a little bit of time to work on this truck. I was busy over the weekend. I was going to those No King rallies. Yeah, right. All right. Anyway, today I'm going to work on this. My door won't open. Obviously, the Crown Vic frame doesn't have the mounts that the old F100 had, so I need a way to mount this fender over to where I can pull it in. Right now, it rubs the door when the door opens. It's like that on the driver's side also, so I want to be able to get in and out of here to work on the interior without having to push the fender in to open the door. So I'm going to start playing with that. Well, the door gap's not the best. It's a little off down there. Seems like the door's sticking out a little bit towards the bottom. But it does open without smashing into the fender. So I'll take it. Passenger side needs a lot more adjusting still. I played with the hinges a little bit, but the same thing, the driver's side, the door gaps aren't the best. The door could come back a little bit, but it actually, I can get in there without having to push in on the fender, which makes it really crappy when I would get inside and I would have to try to get out. I'd have to squeeze out a little tiny gap, but this door actually opens and closes really nice. Driver's side or passenger side, you kind of have to slam, but I don't know. Hopefully I can get in here soon and start figuring out the seat. I was going to try to use this old Chevy seat, but it's going to take some work. I think it would sit up too high, and I'm going to try to put the old Ford steering wheel in. Nothing against this wooden steering wheel, but when you're driving an old car, I like the feel of the old steering wheels. So with that giant Ford steering wheel in here and that seat sitting up so high, I think I would be a little cramped, but stoked to have these doors actually working now. All right, back to it. Ran into an issue here. My wheels I had, they were rubbing up underneath of here, and I was going to push this out and make some braces, but when I did so, I ended up having to push this out like out to here, and it looked like it had a wide body kit or something. It looked so stupid. Like this was noticeably pushed out. And I played with a bunch of different options, and I ended up just going a couple miles up the road, and a guy had a set of Crown Vic wheels for sale. They were super cheap, so I had one already. Like, I think it was this one. The nicer one was mine. I was going to use it as a spare, but I bought 4, and maybe he ripped me off. Maybe he didn't know it.
Because ethically, he's kind of shaky.
But those all match, and then this one doesn't. So now this one's going to be my spare. So had I not had that extra one, I'd be pretty pissed off because I want matching wheels. But anyway, so I'm going from the 18s Steelies that I really like. These are 16s. They got a little fatter tires on them, but they are a little shorter in height, so the truck will sit a little bit lower, which is a good thing. But I really like the way those other wheels looked on it. But I threw my spare wheel that I had on, and I had like 1.5 inches of clearance on the bed, so it was either have it look retarded with what looked like a wide body kit, or put these wheels on and actually have some clearance. So maybe, I know when I would drive it back here, the front fenders would rub a lot too. So I'm wondering if the offset of these being a little more in will help me with the front. That's the hope. We'll see. When those dry, I'll toss them on. Got the stake pockets filled in on both sides. I finished welding all this up on the inside. Actually took the stake pocket out of both sides. Because, you know, I cut so much out of the bed that it was off-centered and it was going to drive me nuts. I thought about filling both of these in, but I'll leave them on the outsides and have to do a little paint blend in here and a little body work. I thought I was all done with the body work, but this will officially, almost officially, be the end of the body work. I'm sure I'll find more crap that I need to do, but all right. Get some filler on that and call the bed done again. I'm calling that done. I tried to kind of match some of the door with how the hood looked. Got the bed blended where I spliced or took a chunk out of it. Still kind of noticeable, but maybe driving by you won't notice. But I'm just glad the whole top of that door is not blue anymore. I'm digging it. I think that's where I'm going to leave this one. Made some serious progress. Really loving this truck. Yeah, boy.